joined by Dave Shanley. He is founder and CEO of Content Camel. And we're going to be talking about how not to suck at driving urgency in B2B sales. Is that right, Dave?
That's right. Yeah. Urgency is the name of the game.
Awesome. I'll let you take it away.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Gary. So I guess my background is I've built and exited a couple companies, and I'm definitely coming at this from a unique angle in the sense that I am a technical founder. So my background is actually engineering. And so over building a couple companies and actually seeing how the impact of like good go to market and like how that's obviously a massive multiplier in your success, that go to market is a super interesting place to focus, right? So that's, and you see companies really struggle on kind of like trying to do go to market or trying to copy what other people are doing and things like that. And it's really like, if you can focus on just one thing in aligning sales and what their activities are with marketing and what their activities are, it's all about driving urgency, right? So what I find is like marketing teams typically don't have like a framework for this. From my background is like, from the engineering mind, it's all about building a framework and building systems. And so how can you put a framework in place that's repeatable? It's not just a jumble of like tactics or like gimmicks or things like that, but it's like month over month. How can you actually put systems in place that are going to give you the results? And that's, I think a lot of sales teams get stuck too there, right? Where they're just chasing kind of like gimmicks and tactics and just sort of throwing stuff against the wall and what sticks. And it's really about like, what's the one thing you focus on? It's urgency and driving and getting deals done. And so this is definitely not about brand. So when marketers want to like rebrand or talk about like the esoteric like branding stuff, it's not about that. It's not about just strictly like value propositions. So it's not just value and like gain messaging, and it's going to completely whiff and like miss people. It's not organizational pain points. So when you're thinking about your messaging and where you're going to market, whether that's in like sequences from a sales rep perspective or like literally what you're putting on the homepage, it's not, hey, we're going to save your organization $10 million. I like to say to the folks that I advise that you could literally be handing gold bricks out on the side of the street and people will be like, no, I'm too busy. I'll come back later or something. It's like literally handing gold bricks out. I think that's where a lot of people feel like their products are amazing, and they are, but it's that you're just completely missing on driving that urgency. And Errol talked about it in the session before a little bit. It's when are you speaking? How are you engaging? And it's not biasing the conversation from a sales perspective. It's not entering the conversation and having a conversation that's like really, really biased to like your product, your service, and thinking that you're getting great feedback, thinking that you have a deal in motion and then going into like ghost mode where you're not going to hear from them maybe like ever again, right? So it's not these bucketed things. What it is making sure that you make this super tailored for the audience that you're trying to reach. And again, it's not the organizational reach. Like someone is a decision maker. They are a real person at an organization. From a marketing standpoint and from a sales standpoint, you cannot lose the focus on like they are actual people. They're actual people that are like actually one person reads your email, one person reads your homepage. They don't like gather around in a conference room and decide to like take it all in, right? You've got to reach that one person. And so you need to understand like, what are they triggered by in their mind? Like in their head, they have like a mental model of like the checklist of like all the stuff they need to do, like all of their, everything that they're struggling with, like at that day, that week, right? That month, what are their quarterly objectives? Like from a very, very like personal standpoint. And so you need to basically like remind them about the pain or the frustration that they had relative to that. That's how you push your topic at the very, very, very top of their list. And they're like, oh yeah, I totally had that problem and it was really painful and I'm super frustrated about it. Okay. And then you just need to like lower the friction of like taking the next step. And so if you just focus on like really finding out like what is going to trigger them and then again, motivating those fears and frustrations and that's it. Like that is just does your marketing content focus on that? Like, is it supporting your sales process in the sense that every time they go and they're like looking at pages, downloading PDFs, whatever on your site, the collateral that you're sending over from a sales rep perspective, like, is it reinforcing those pains and those frustrations and reminding them? And then when you're kicking off your calls, are you listening to them? Are you like engaging them and, hey, this is what we've heard. Most people struggle with this, this, and this. Does that resonate with you? What would you add to that list? Okay, because like the thing that they're going to add to that list is absolutely the thing that's top of mind for them. And whatever's top of mind for them, you just bump that up into their priority list. And then guess what? Like in your follow-up and everything like that, you get to highlight that gap between where, what they're frustrated about and then like where they want to be, right? The impact of doing nothing, like, hey, in their own words, like, great. Like, okay, so this really resonates with you. And you said this is actually really important to you. And so what happens if you don't do anything? If there's like no impact and no consequences for them not taking action, you don't have a deal, right? They're disqualified. You don't have a deal. There is absolutely no urgency. But what you get to do to drive this urgency and get these deals across the line and get them started, get them all the way to finish is just keep repeating back everything in your prospects, like own words, right? You said this, and you said this is going to happen if you don't take any action. It's really as simple as that. And so like the marketing team can use that on the front end for all of the collateral, basically that they're producing, like all, blog posts, site pages, all of that can basically echo in your prospects' words, their actual words and how they frame the problems that they're struggling with and make it like super, super personal. Again, like not organizationally broad. And so that you're really driving those fears and frustrations, highlighting that gap. And then people are hardwired to be consistent. And so they just they don't want to be inconsistent. So in all of your follow-up, you're making sure that you are repeating back to them. This is what you said was really painful, right? We hear this all the time. We have the solution. And like, there's a really big deal here if you don't take action. And you said this, it is in your own words, super consistent.